Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer and some people who do a lot of 3D.
And other engineers.
Yeah.
We have a full house tonight. We actually couldn't pack more people on here.
We have, but
It's tough.
this is tough.
We got our electronic menorah here going on.
Yeah.
This is a special festival of lights, festival of NeoPixel lights, which we'll chat about later. We've got an exciting show for you tonight with so many special guests and exciting things that we're going to talk about. Some things that we're going to show off that nobody's ever seen before.
That's right.
Stay tuned for this exciting hour of Ask the Engineer.
Yeah, so we have Matt from Autodesk. We're going to do the Eagle State of the Union. And we got Mike from
Mike
from Mike Dole. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that you've designed with Adafruit in 3D. So this is like 3D night.
In 3 days.
In 3 days. And you worked on something here.
Yeah, in the last 3 days.
You called it like a Maker Club Med. You're like
It's like a Geek Club Med.
Geek Club Med.
Nice.
All right.
Super relaxed. It's like everyone's working and you're like, I don't feel like I have to.
All right. So on tonight's show, the code is ADSKEagle. AutoDeskEagle. That gets you 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up into 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, or when I remember to turn the code off. We also have a sale going on. We have Circuit Playgrounds that are 20% off. And can you use the discount code for that? Yes. So theoretically, you can get Circuit Playground Expresses for 30% off. Use the code. It supports us, an open source hardware company in New York City. Here's us. We don't have loans or venture capital yet. Haven't needed it. But that's what happens when you buy something. They go, yay! Show and Tell. Lady A's going to talk about the Show and Tell, people around the world showing and sharing their glowing garages. We're going to talk to Matt from...
Or bathrooms.
Yeah, or bathrooms. We're going to talk to Matt from Eagle. We're going to talk to Mike about some of the things that he's made with us. That's his name on the back of our cases. Mailbag, time travel, a little bit of news, some made in New York City, factory footage. We're going to have some 3D videos in addition to all this 3D talk. We're going to your questions. Do we have Top Secret tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have Top Secret.
And Mike Dole's going to show Top Secret.
Yeah.
Mike
we're
from
gonna,
Mike.
We're going to give away something. All that and more on Ask an Engineer. Okay. Well, let's take care of stuff before we get to the interviews. You're watching Ask an Engineer. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday. Set your clock to it. We just did Show and Tell. 7:30 p.m. We do that every Wednesday. Same day shipping if you check out of our store, and it's before 11 a.m. and you're in New York City. You can get same day delivery, just like those giant companies that do same day delivery. We do that too now. We have free stuff, Lady Ada. What is free this now?
We have all sorts of free things. If you order $99 or more, you're going to get a free Trinket M0, which comes with CircuitPython, and you can use it with Arduino. $150 or more. $150 or more, you get a Trinket. $200 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in continental US. $250 or more, you'll get a Gemma M0, which is a wearable platform that can run CircuitPython or Arduino. And at $299 or more, you will get a Circuit Playground Express, which is our all-in-one board that can do all sorts of exciting projects. We put a whole bunch more guides in the learning system this week, so you can learn electronics and build a ton of fun projects with it. And at every level, you get everything below that level. And as soon as we get more perma-protos, we'll have those back in as well.
Yeah. Lots of giveaways. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, we have our free deal going on. And we also have Circuit Playground, which is up to 30% off when you use that code. Run that code. That's the code. Shipping, we added DHL, so if you're international customer, you sell through customs, fees are taken care of, and more. We just added multiple types of UPS, so you have that going on. Then we added all 50 states to postal, so yay America this week. Ask me next week how we're doing, but I think so far so good this week in America. So we have all 50 states, and then our shipping deadlines are coming up, so this is probably the last time I have to play this video, but watch it because don't let your holidays get ruined because the package doesn't show up. So we're going to go to the video that explains all of it with Pinecone.
It's such a nice video,
Yeah.
too.
So, thanks for the folks who noticed we got new boxes.
Oh, these are very fancy boxes.
Yeah, we buy enough boxes now where we can get custom boxes, and people notice. So this is some of the new. These are for the bigger ones and has the Circuit Playground characters. And because we just did it, we have Blink on there now. We have all of our holiday stuff going on, so this is nice. A little fun thing.
Yeah, it's this Phil B's code with
Yeah.
a flame.
So we have. Speaking of, happy birthday, NeoPixels. 5 years old. So we have our gift guides and more. So check out the site. You'll see all of those through the rest of the week, all the way up to like end of the year. Show and tell. People around the world showing and sharing their projects. Lady Ada. There was a lot.
There was a lot. There's
Okay.
13 people.
Yeah.
Lucky 13. I'll just put my menorah over the side there. Okay, so we had some Adafruit folks. We had JP, who showed off a zipper he made with NeoPixels, or side-light NeoPixels for like ultra-high density LED fun. He might make a project with those tomorrow in his live stream, so check that out. Erin is doing a whole bunch of holiday events. She has a Venetian color thief costume where the costume changes to the color that she touches with her glove. So it's kind of neat. It's got the hat and a cape and everything. And it's got 60 NeoPixels sewn into the cape and the mask. So check that out. It's really beautiful. And she'll be doing events. And you should hire her to do events if you want an entertaining costumed person at your party. She'll do that for you. Paint Your Dragon. Phil B showed off his sand LED toy, a little physics demo of sand LED points moving up and down using an accelerometer, which is just very beautiful looking. And he talked about how the code is very simple, a lot less complicated than he thought. Dan Halbert worked on Circuit Playground Express microphone audio support. So he got a VU meter demo, and this is like the best VU meter demo ever. He had Einstein, he had a xylophone, he had a zebra. Like I like how it's just like he had like one of each letter, he had like banana and apple, and
One
like
of each
carrot.
obscure letter, too.
Yeah, like a xylophone and like a yeti. I don't know. It was the xylophone definitely was unexpected. Blitz City made a NeoPixel menorah, which is pretty cool. Like this one, hers is made out of pipe and it has a Trinket M0 in it. It's very nice. Got switches on each LED. It's very customizable. Hannah is Indiana Jones incarnate, and she made a Holy Grail detector.
That's cool.
With a Circuit Playground that will, the diary, which has a Circuit Playground, when she holds it over the Holy Grail, because there's 4, and 3 of them are fake.
Right.
And if you touch this fake one, your face melts off. So you have to make sure you get the right one. So she figured out which one it was, and it beeped, and then it sang the Indiana Jones theme,
Yeah,
which is
super
cool.
cool.
Really cool. M-Blade had a garage-sized LED wall sculpture and an LED suit, all powered by an Octo board on a Teensy with these multiple panels that can be reconfigured. It is way bigger than you think. We thought it was I thought it was this big, and then he walked in, and we're like, oh my god, that's a person. Because usually people close in on what's on their desk, but this was huge. Definitely the coolest garage on this show, no question. Rebecca has finals week. She made a menorah kit from Evil Mad Scientist. Check those out. And she's doing a lot of knitting and learning about circuit theory. So you gotta do those transistors and small signal and big signal, and oh boy, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. Cutting Pro made an awesome Santa hat called the Awesome Santa Hat, and it plays Santa themes, and you can wear it, and it's super awesome. Also, he made a scratch game with a Santa delivery where you attack bats.
Nice.
I like bats, but I guess these are anti-Santa bats or something. So there you go. Get those bats. Z-Bones has a it's like a dubstep LED bathroom with 5,000 LEDs, and it plays Christmas music.
It was
Yeah.
super impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty super. We actually had him demo it twice because it was so super.
Yeah, when I try to explain to folks what we do on Wednesdays, and oh yeah, there's this garage and there's this bathroom, and it's no, it's not real. No,
this is
really,
really ridiculous.
it plays Christmas music and it's in a shower.
There's a jacuzzi.
Yeah, and then there's this guy with a xylophone, and Einstein was there. They're like, no.
It was a little ridiculous. Bumjaku had a Tensegrity sculpture. He's going to add some LEDs to it. Also built his own DIY power supply and fume extractor. So a lot of projects going on there. Ani has a Pi Zero Raspberry Pi, Chromecast, Raspberry Cast, that is also a Star Wars themed lightsaber. So I don't know why not mix those two things together. And then
I think
Roberto.
a new Star Wars is coming out.
Well, yeah, but it's just funny.
I couldn't tell from the various types of edible Star Wars stuff at the grocery store.
I know, it's all like
It's like Star Wars toothpaste. You can live on Star Wars right
Star
now.
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely like the Star Wars
Yeah.
like hot dog buns.
Yeah.
And Roberto had an open SCAD gobo charm, which is kind of neat. So maybe put an LED and you can have neat shadows.
Okay.
And it's customizable.
All participants on the show and tell get the show and tell sticker. Email support@adafruit.com, and we will send you out one. It's part of our Adafruit live series of shows that we do every single week. Next week is AdaBox Unboxing Live. That's going to be with JP, and then we're going to be around.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the chat, so I'm going to be answering questions live.
Yeah, and AdaBox is a good gift for kids. If you're like super expert,
Wait, but what if you're like an expert and you have one of everything already?
well then maybe it's not for you. Because we have to say who things are for and who they're not for.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like Raspberry Pi stuff, if you've already collected every Raspberry Pi and you got the $10 one and everything, maybe you're not 10 years old. Maybe you're not old, and maybe there's people that are younger and they're not old enough to be jaded yet.
But what if you want to learn COBOL?
Oh, well, that'll be like AdaBox 20.
20 billion.
Yeah.
This AdaBox it's not holiday themed, but it is the holidays, and we timed it so you'd get it during the holidays, and so it makes an excellent gift. You can give it for a Hanukkah gift, you can give it for a birthday gift, you can give it for a Christmas gift, or you just give it as a gift. It's meant for kids or adults who are kids at heart who are interested in learning about electronics.
Yeah.
And it's designed specifically. We're making it better and better so that it's for people who want to learn about the
Maybe
joy.
the first time you have experience with electronics, this is like delightful. I don't want to quit because it's terrible.
Right.
That's what we're going to call it. Before.
Yeah. This is it's
It
yeah.
wouldn't fit on the box.
That was a really bad
Yeah,
game. I don't
yeah.
know why we had
Well,
that discussion.
yeah. So,
but,
anyways, we have a little clip of AdaBox to give you an idea of what's in store for the next one. So if you subscribe now, you start off with 007, which you can imagine will probably be like spy and security themed and fun stuff like that.
007 is going to be super awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So here is our video. Okay, and if you want to ask questions during the show, we have Q&A and more. Don't forget we're in Discord. We just celebrated 3,000 humans, because that's what they have to say, because there's bots and stuff like that. And that's on our Discord channel, adafruit.it/discord. So that was fast.
Yeah.
3,000 people hanging out.
Yeah, and I was there today, spent some time in the Circuit Python
Yeah.
chat, and I'm hanging out with, actually what's interesting is it's, our chat for Circuit Python is not just for the developer or the users, it's for both. So there are people asking like beginner questions, and then the developers chatting about like how to implement stuff in the API or in the documentation. So it's like a one community.
Code Plus
That's
community, and then you can participate real time in like when we make decisions. Mm-hmm. And then once in a while we'll post a photo of leaks. They're new products, but just pictures of leaks.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Like onions.
yeah, it's
Those
like
are
leaks.
delicious.
Like leaks.
Yeah, well, that way you can
That's
search for
exactly
later.
where my head went.
Yeah.
So-
So JP has a couple videos. These are previews of stuff that he's working on. So let's play those. Okay, mailbag. Let's do this stuff really fast. That's packet, that's mailbag. These are the letters we read to all our employees and staff members at State of the Fruit. This one is from Marv. Thank you, by the way, your shipping is a model of efficiency. I cannot believe how fast your orders are fulfilled. Also, thank you for continuing support. Education is a critical investment in our future that results in confident, capable, and creative young people. Thanks, Marv. At the end of the show, don't forget you can call the payphone. We turn on at the end of the show, and you'll be able to call us, and you can win something.
Yeah.
So phone number is on BitStab. All right, time travel. And then we're just going to go right into chat with these folks. Only thing I got this week is I have an update to my Tech Shop 2.0 article that I started. I guess I'll put on my journalism glasses for a second.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, these are from Transmet. If you
Deploy
read that
the...
comic. Yeah, anyways. So I interviewed someone at Tech Shop 2, and then there was an update from Tech Shop 1. And so right now the sale of the assets is not going to be the original folks involved. And so check out the press release, PDF, and more. So we're watching this. We have nothing to do at Tech Shop. We just write about it. So that's our journalism. So check it out on our site. All right. Okay. Now it's time.
Okay.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Hey, hi. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. All right. So Matt, before I'll make it easy on you. You won't have to introduce yourself. I'm going to read what's on this paper here. But you've been around in this world for a while.
Yeah.
I've always seen your name.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks know you, and they're like, "Oh, say hi to Matt." So you run the Eagle and Tinkercad teams at Autodesk. Prior to Autodesk, you worked at Supplyframe and Hackaday. That's my old site. I started a million years ago. 14 years ago. 13. Will be 14 You've been to electronic design and ECAD software since days of PCAD, and was part of the core team at Altium, which drove the transformation from Protel to Altium Designer. Background in electronic goes back 30 plus years, being a model rocket. You made model rockets?
Yeah, lots of model rockets.
Radios and radio equipment, RC vehicles, and a lot more dangerous stuff he's reluctant to talk about. Okay, maybe we'll ask about that. Code programming, begin with Commodore PET. Professionally designed all manner of consumer projects, mil-spec aerospace design, wireless systems, just about any sort of sensor and control you can imagine. Welcome, Matt.
Hey.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so we're doing Autodesk Eagle State of the Union.
Yeah.
This is like a big deal.
It is.
Is this
it
the
is.
first time you've done a live one?
We're almost 1 year since we
Yeah.
launched Autodesk Eagle, like the official Autodesk Eagle. So yeah, it is a big deal. It's a huge deal.
All right, I have a... Here we go. Look, look, there's this.
No,
Oh, look at that with the logo in
This is
it.
like the most festive. You're special, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I've got the menorah. I've got branding
Yeah,
in the
this
corner,
is-
like
it's
little
a
circuit
sign.
around us.
Yeah.
And so we internally here we had some questions, and then we wanted to just ask stuff because it's State of the Union.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna kick this off.
Okay, kick it.
First off, what's your Twitter handle so folks can?
It's at Technolomaniac.
Okay.
So
And
it's like a
then-
megalomaniac, but
Technomaniac.
yeah,
Okay.
Technomaniac.
And then for the folks who want to follow Autodesk Eagle, that's the discount code.
yeah, that's
I made it
at
easy.
ADSKEagle.
Yeah.
You can type that into
Exactly.
Twitter, and it will also get you the latest deets.
Yeah, you just have to type it once. Okay, so Lady is gonna interview you. Take it
Okay.
away.
But we're also going to ask questions not on here.
Yeah,
What's the most
totally.
dangerous thing that you've made? Okay, so for those of us who don't know you, Matt, and we're not already best friends with you, so what do you do at Autodesk?
So I run amongst a variety of things. So the Autodesk Eagle team, so the product team, and then the product development organization for Eagle, and then likewise Tinkercad, and Circuits.io, which is now folded into Tinkercad, which we can talk about later. But and then 123D, rest in peace. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like 1, 2, 3D? Well, okay.
Oh, maybe
Like it used to be an Autodesk.
one person's
instructor.
rest in peace, and
I
another
used
person's
to
good
teach
riddance.
AutoCAD, but that was more than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Mid 90s.
Yeah, that's more 5 years
It
ago.
was pure evil.
Okay.
But sorry, 3D AutoCAD was pure evil. 2D was great.
Okay.
I taught 3D.
You taught 3D.
It was hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, okay, so it's been about a year since the acquisition. And how long have you been were you with Eagle or with AutoCAD?
So I was with Autodesk. I came into the company to do the acquisition.
Okay.
So when everybody was talking about, hey, Eagle might be out there, it might be available, it might be something that somebody could acquire, there was a lot of chatter around the industry, and there's just not that many people that have ever built ECAD software before.
No, thank goodness.
So,
No, it's really hard. You know, it's interesting. A lot of people are like, oh, how hard can it be? It's like, no, it's really hard.
no, there's a lot of really interesting kind of unique problems.
The
There's
last
just
1% is like
yeah,
8,000 times worse than the first 90.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you were brought in
I,
then.
I was brought in then. So I then ran the acquisition, and then ultimately now the product development.
And you stuck
Okay.
around afterwards, so must have been
Yeah,
okay.
Yay,
absolutely,
yay. Okay.
absolutely.
And okay, so Eagle actually has done quite a lot in the last year. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys have been cranking
Yes.
fast.
Yes.
Why is that? Why are you cranking so fast, dude?
Because
why
I think
so
that-
much?
Because I think anytime that you take on something which is so precious to so many people, you take on all of the responsibility that goes with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Eagle has this massive community. We could have gone out and bought any other electronics design package that was out there, but the
Well,
one
they
thing
had
that
the money.
differentiated
Yeah.
Eagle was that it had the community. And if you asked me, hey, go out and build a community of millions of users, I would tell you I don't know how to do that. But if you asked me how do you build a PCB routing algorithm, we'd say, oh, okay, yeah, that's a fine.
That's
we can
easy.
predict that
There
thing.
are humans involved.
So I think when we took that on, it was like, hey, there's a lot of responsibility with this, and so many people were kind of pointing fingers. Oh, Autodesk is going to kill it. They're going to do this. They're going to ruin it. They're going to run it into the ground. This, that, and everything else. And you know, just kind of the normal sort of fear, uncertainty, and doubt that comes with that. So I think the real goal in cranking away on some of these things is that we knew that there were things that Eagle users have been chomping at the bit for years. And this was the one opportunity where we could bring a lot of development talent to it and get everything out there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we have our Eagle story. I remember before it was part of Autodesk, we would talk to Eagle kind of every year, and we're like, hey, can you do XML export? And it was when it was in Germany.
It was Catsoft.
Yeah, it was
Catsoft. Yep.
And, you know, it was a smaller organization, and it was like, we'll try to get to it. And I think in
They
the
had like
last,
4 developers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you could meet
No, you met them.
Him, yeah.
Like, hey.
Yeah. So-
and I'd say in the last year, probably more features happened in this 1 year than
Than
a
the
few
entire
years put
history.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
easily.
back in the day when I was at Make, Autodesk acquired Instructables, and that was a good example too. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you could probably build a how-to site, and then how
Right.
can you get a community? And when I've written about good acquisitions and what it means for companies to get community, so far Autodesk has done really well.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Instructables got better.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I think Supplyframe acquiring Hackaday also had a very similar sort of effect.
Yeah.
Like I think
Yeah.
Hackaday.
I was nervous
actually-
about that because that's my
Yeah.
kid. In
Yeah,
a way.
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, no,
Absolutely.
like, who's going to get this thing? Because it went to Weblogs Inc.
Right.
for a bit, and that was weird.
Right,
And
right.
It got really weird for a
Yeah,
bit.
is it going to be Gizmodo or somebody like
yeah,
that? you know?
exactly.
Nothing against the guys at Gizmodo, but Hackaday has Hackaday. It's got a
Yeah.
personality, and I
Yeah.
think Eagle, in some respects, has that same sort of impact or community kind of reach, and we just needed to be really precious. about
There's
how we
there's
handled that.
definitely, I think, when you use CAD software, and like you do 3D CAD and I do electronics CAD, but there's like, it's interesting. Like, one of the things that I thought about was like part of the community is how, like, it sounds like a bad word, but like how frustrating it is to do CAD, and because of that, you have this community of, like, for software that's really simple, there isn't as much to share and commiserate
Yeah,
with, but
yeah.
because CAD software is so intense, there's so
Yeah.
much stuff that you have to do. I think that's why Eagle and CAD software has like these strong communities that feel so strong.
Oh,
They're like,
absolutely, absolutely.
don't mess with this. And also, like, people have decades of files. Like, I have easily a decade of Eagle CAD
Yeah.
files from 4.0
Yep.
to now.
Yep. Well, and I think you guys were really instrumental, and I don't mean this just to make you feel good about it, but you guys were totally instrumental in the transition of Eagle away from a binary file format to an XML file format,
Yay.
which allows you to then persist that 10 years of data
I actually
We
do
were
get
persistent.
for another 20 years.
We're
and
like,
30
this
years.
is good no matter what.
Right.
Like, no matter
Right.
what, this is good. It's
Right.
good for everyone. And it was a way for, I think, people to even experiment with other CAD tools and are like, you know what, like, Eagle's kind of what I'm going to use. Like, we get asked you should switch overnight to, like, KiCad or something like that. It's like, well, you should see how Lemoore is kind of built for Eagle CAD now. Like, that's hard
No,
to
I
it's like-
totally. It's fun when I show people and they're like, "Why is this?" And I'm like, "This is how it is." Okay, so so I ask more questions. So you were at Altium, and how long were you at Altium for?
I want to say about 15 years. So I came in, I started at a company called Excel Technologies, which made a product called PCAD.
Okay.
And Altium, so Excel used to be a reseller for Protel.
Yeah.
It was branded in the US as something called Tango. And then Excel branched out, built their own software. Long story short, Protel came back and acquired PCAD. And when they did that, they rebranded the company to Altium because it sort of felt weird to have two products, one called Protel in a company called Protel, and then another company or another product called PCAD being sold by Protel. So, so they rebranded it Altium. Altium Designer kind of picked up from there. So I came in right at the point of that acquisition, or just prior to that acquisition.
And what I mean, if you were there 15 years, you must have learned a lot about CAD software and how electrical engineers design stuff. What have you taken from that experience, and what have you been able to do with Eagle that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do at Altium?
Well, so I think there's a fundamental difference in the way in which we're trying to approach how we address Eagle versus, say, how we addressed some of the other problems, or I've addressed other problems in the past. So I think all of those big CAD tools have this habit of trying to address complexity with really complexity, like just one-on-one. You fall into what I call the spreadsheet trap. You go to a customer site, a customer's got a spreadsheet of features. They say, this is what Cadence or Mentor or Altium or whomever is doing. You have to do these things.
Oh, there's like a little checkbox, and it's like, oh,
exactly.
okay.
And you end up with software with like 5,000 toolbars.
Exactly. And I can go back, look at Altium Designer. I can name customers for which a checkbox was actually implemented. And so I think the pressure is on us on the Eagle side of things to actually not do that, to actually go exactly the opposite. So, probably the closest analog, and I'll get a little hand wavy for a second, but the closest analog is kind of the difference between, say, Inventor and Fusion, where I think Fusion 360 is really trying to rethink user interface for mechanical design and really kind of narrow down the things that you see in the editors and in the interface. So like in Eagle, obviously ULPs are like a first-class citizen, right? Like scripts are a first-class citizen. But I think that's very deliberate because it's a way of taking so much of the complexity out of the software and putting it into something where you don't need to think about how you navigate from here to here to here to here, because everything that's in front of you is just there and conspicuous.
So yeah, instead of it's interesting because it's actually one of the things that Eagle benefits from, because I can't imagine there are any multi-billion-dollar companies using Eagle. They're usually
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, but it's definitely the minority in those companies, right? So it's not the company standard,
right? That's what I mean. Because usually when you join a company, they're like, you're using like OrCAD. This is what you're using, and like you figured out and whatever. But with Eagle, because you have this very widespread community, it sounds like you have more flexibility and just you're doing things that you're like, this is cool. Okay, so what are some of the cool things that you've added in the last year?
Okay, so obviously the routing stuff. The routing stuff is huge. So we just push and shove routing yesterday. I guess pun intended.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah,
So
before the show,
I totally bugged you guys about that.
Well, it's funny. Before the show, Lamore's like, "Yeah, like the push and shove thing's pretty good." I'm like, "Oh, save that for the show," because this is something that we have team members that wanted it. And
some people, Scott, were saying how that was the one thing that Eagle didn't have, and I was like, that is actually really cool, because when you're doing these tight boards, push and shove really like saves you from having to eyeball. Is that 10 mil? Is that 8 mil? Like whatever.
Right. Well, and snaking in between two tracks. So if I've got two tracks that are kind of like this, and I say, okay, I just need to get a route in between there, just move those things out of the way. Like just that kind of stuff they're huge productivity wins.
I heard you say you changed copy and paste too to actually use copy.
Yeah. So it actually uses like Control C, Control V. It's like,
that
got applause at Sketching and Hardware. People applauded the fact that
they didn't use copy. It was like right clicks.
Yeah.
It was
it was a very complex and sort of convoluted thing. So there wasn't a Control C, Control V. So we added that. But I think a lot of that, a lot of what we're driving at is convention. But I think also on the routing side of things, just like Eagle didn't have obstacle avoidance in routing.
Yeah.
There was no...
You can just go straight through a hole. It's like, okay.
Like, hey, let me just short everything. And I think the more that we can do that sort of assisted routing, where we kind of help limit the scope of the problems that you can introduce into a design, the better it is for everybody.
I think we were chatting beforehand, and we're just going to recreate our conversation, because we were saying the auto router, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got to bring up the auto router.
Mm-hmm.
So auto routers are, you know, it was saying either you use them the first time you ever open up a CAD tool because you're like, yay, I'm just going to click this and I'm done, and then you never use it again. Right? I don't think we sold licenses for EagleCAD when it was, you know, there was a software sale, and I don't think we ever sold any with AutoRouter.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that, and what was your view about, like, because everyone sort of agrees, like, it's not a secret. AutoRouter is either, if it's not like the most amazing thing in the world, you can't be like 90%, it has to be 100%.
Right.
So you said you were going to do other things in EagleCAD to maybe take away from the instead of putting syncing time to the AutoRouter, syncing time to other stuff. So what are those things?
So I think the assisted routing type stuff is really important. So things like, hey, you know, I know that I've got a connection from point A to point B. Just complete that for me. Like, you can see it, I can see it, I know how it's going to go. Just complete it. Like those sort of autocomplete type things. The other things are things like fanning out to a power plane, right? So if I've got a polygon on the bottom side of the board, it's all connected to ground, and I just want all of the ground pads to connect to the polygon. Like, we should just do that. So you don't have to.
It would
do that.
via down. So if you had a
Just
four-layer board,
small track, drop a via, and then we
big,
can
big,
also
big.
use the push algorithm to push other stuff out of the way. So if you kind of put it onto a timeline, we've got to do one thing before we do the other. But then, you know, other things like allowing you to do interactive multi-track routing, so bus routing, right? Hey,
So you do D0, and then you say do D1 through D35, and it does the rest.
Yeah, or just select all of the connection lines and actually route them as one unit, and just say, okay, push all the tracks as close as I can, and then just as I'm drawing it, it's sort of like routing one track as opposed to routing as opposed to routing 8 tracks. But then again, when you get into sort of obstacle avoidance and push and shove, then as you start to come around, oh well, there's a via in the way, then you know 4 tracks have to go this way and 4 tracks have to go this way, and like those things it's all doable. Like
It's almost
not
like the Eagle in its new home. There's a bigger emphasis on what computers can do well, like complete in IDEs. Like you can tell when an IDE is getting love. It's like, oh wow, a programmer is programming it. And it's like, oh, here's like assistive stuff. Here's macros. Here's all the things that you're gonna have to do. Here's Control C, Control V. Like here's push and shove. It seems like it's always helping you. It's not gonna solve all your problems.
But
it'll help you solve your problems.
Right, but I think there's there's aspects of that too, which are just intrinsic in the Eagle community. Like when we added design blocks to Eagle, the goal behind the design block concept was that you could encapsulate a piece of schematic circuitry and a piece of PCB circuitry, and you could save it, and you could store it, you could persist it, and it would already be routed, and you wouldn't have to think about the routing on that thing. So you could sort of reduce the problem to, I have this bundle of complexity over here and this bundle of complexity over here, and I just connect them together in between. And the idea with sort of as we start to move forward is to bring more of that stuff into the software. So it's not just purely assistive from, hey, what can the software do for me, but more, how do we then also bring in the whole community? So like when we added the managed library concept, which today probably feels a little bit rough around the edges because it's just not fully implemented. The idea eventually is to enable people to contribute libraries to Eagle that anybody can pull from. And likewise with design blocks, that you could have, for example, the routing on the NRF 51822 or something like that. Hey, I've got that plus the oscillator plus the decoupling plus support or whatever.
It's in the data. We were saying like the data sheet tells you this is what you need, and so saying like, hey, this is my boost converter, and you can't move the inductor, right? There's no, you would never put it anywhere else. You might as well just chunk that and say when I move it, it moves as one chunk.
Exactly, and the interesting thing you asked earlier about some of the stuff that I learned over the course of the years at Altium. That was far and away probably one of the biggest lessons. You go into a company like Texas Instruments, big semiconductor company, who's got a whole bunch of different business units, all working on different things, and they're not sharing, they're not collaborating, they're not socializing in the context of a company in which you have so much engineering talent and so many engineering resources. So you have somebody who actually created the power supply chip, right? So they created the boost converter that you're using over in another division. Maybe it's Luminary Micro, and you're working on an ARM, and you're trying to combine these two pieces together. And somebody at TI goes to TI's website to look for a power supply that they could use in TI. And I think so. A nice thing about that community is that I think if we build it for this community around Eagle, it's actually useful to the professional engineer as well, and to the person that's trying to convince a company to come on board with it.
Are y'all trying to focus more on the professional engineer rather than the makers?
I think it's something that definitely we want to have commercial success with Eagle. So I'll say that. So however, at the same time, I think the real opportunity for us is when we enable makers to become professional engineers, right? Like if we can
what
build a
happened
path
to
to
Adafruit. Yeah.
somebody having commercial success.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Half our sales go to businesses, but we're not known for that. It's education. It's because the engineers at night on weekends started with Adafruit stuff.
Yep.
And now we have professional level things, and like once in a while you'll crack open a product and you'll see like an Adafruit thing inside of it.
yeah, I mean, how many times do I use an Arduino just to create some digital input or, some simple little thing to
Yeah.
test a circuit, which is actually going to be used in a production product? Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I do that?
Okay.
Okay, I thought we would bring in another engineer to this conversation. So we're going to do a three-person discussion. So we're going. The next question set is about Fusion 360. Okay, and so you design, Mike, you design enclosures for us, and we make electronics, and then you make the enclosures that the electronics go into. And do you use Fusion 360? I actually don't even know what you use.
I bought a license about a year and a half ago, a 2-year license. I think it was a Black Friday sale, something like that. And I did all the training, like a day-long sort of online training. Used it for about 2 days, and
Okay.
I haven't gone back to it.
Okay, well, you should, because you're going to
I'll tell you
add-
why I don't
Oh,
go back if
why?
you'd like to know.
This is like a real time focus
Oh
group
my God,
stuff.
this is
that's right.
intense. Okay.
That's right.
So for something like, these sort of things, is great, right? Like straightforward enclosures, but that's a very small percentage of what I do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so this is like one of Mike's enclosures. and we'll
I,
get to-
I tried using it. I'm working on, I just finished working on 2 different cars, so we're doing, dashboards and that sort of stuff. And so I tried to bring in scan data with Fusion.
Wasn't successful.
It wasn't that great. But the problem was I had too much data, right? So, and not just, point clouds, but just numbers of parts. We're getting into assemblies with like 3,000, 4,000 parts. And
So you're on the high end of
yeah,
you're
And
pushing
I don't
what's
think
possible.
that's a knock on Fusion. It's just
No,
I don't
it's
think that's what it's intended for.
Well, I think that's and that's just I think we understand and sort of recognize, and by we I'm speaking as Autodesk, that large assemblies are slow in Fusion today, and it's something that we can improve. But I think we also have to find what the real market position
I don't
for
think it's
Fusion
the
is.
market for you. But so the problem for me is to get really good at Fusion. I already have this workflow that I do that I don't even think about, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything. But
Nope.
I have this process that I go through, and it's kind of distracting. I use other things like use Rhino, and everybody does that sort of thing. But I just already use too many different things.
Yeah, you're in a weird world because you're bouncing between so many different tools because you're making like the outside, the inside, all the things. So
Well,
yeah,
so for interiors, you're doing a lot of surfacing, right? You can't use SolidWorks for that. You can use Alias, Rhino, that sort of thing. But Fusion you can use for some of those smaller elements. But I really need to work. We work with a master model, so we have the entire surface, and we divide it up into individual parts. Just way too much data to use. But for, like I say, little things with form, it's fantastic. Like
yeah, that's what
T-splines,
Noah and
it's great.
Pedro use
Yeah.
for a lot of their stuff. All
So
right.
what integration? Because we had a question here. I didn't even know. Are you integrating Fusion 360 and Eagle?
Yeah, so the plan is, and I guess if we were going to try to hide anything, we probably shouldn't have called the product Fusion. But but the goal
Next?
is
Is
exactly.
Fusion going to fuse things? Yeah.
Exactly. So the goal is actually to kind of bring the two things together. I don't know about the notion of building Eagle on Fusion, because I think that's probably a recipe for way more problems than solutions. But at the same time, the integration between the two will continue to get better. And the longer term vision, if I can kind of spill the beans on it,
Totally.
Is that-
Nobody's
No one's-
listening.
It's not
Nobody's
recorded.
listening.
This is not being put on YouTube
it's not
immediately.
being streamed on
This
the
is
internet.
just
or
us.
You
anything.
could tell us all this.
Fine.
No, but the long-term vision is ultimately to sort of to bring together embedded software, electronics, simulation, mechanics, and mechanical simulation. So you could conceivably do something. So we were talking about Tinkercad and kind of Circuits.io and how Circuits.io folds into Tinkercad, and it's actually kind of the ultimate expression of where the end state for the Eagle Fusion thing goes. The idea that you could do that you could experiment, create something, breadboard it in the circuits experience on Tinkercad, write embedded software code for it, execute it, then bring it into Tinkercad and actually create a 3D model from that. If you take that one step further, then doing something like a motion study in Fusion would make a lot of sense. And so giving you and for that would give you kind of true motion as it relates to with mechanical simulation as well. So like Modelica or something like that driving it.
Okay, we have more State of the Union stuff. Like Noah and Pedro, when they do a unicorn horn, they sculpt it in Fusion.
Yep.
And I think for instructional learning too, Fusion is just what we use every week on layer by layer, which is our name for it. All right, what else you got?
Okay.
Data.
Well, actually, I just wanted to ask, like, the one big question was, for PCB modeling, how will you actually be able to model something with all the components, and how, is that going to be something
Yeah, so that's
possible?
actually in there today. So today you can already synchronize between Fusion and Eagle. You can link a board shape in Fusion back to Eagle and bring the two things and kind of move bidirectionally between the two. The thing which is critically important is that, like, to kind of wrap people's heads around from a mechanical side is that on the mechanical side, you operate with constraints and the timeline is everything. And so just throwing a step file over the wall or passing a step file back and forth between two different tools actually isn't really addressing the foundational
It's pure
problem.
evil.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, there went all of my constraints, which now drive the enclosure, which depends on this, or where the light pipes are located, or where where this hole is
you gotta
actually
start
placed.
over.
It is fun once in a while to take a board file and toss it in various apps that can render something. So I downloaded Copper.
Yep.
And and I'm like, hey, Lamore, check this out, because I was just like spinning around. She's like, oh yeah, they said like there wasn't enough people who wanted just that for that to be a sustainable thing. It looks neat, it's beautiful. But I realized after playing around with them, like, well, this is good for me because I'm going to like export a screenshot and send it to someone like, oh, here's a new board we're working on.
Yeah,
And
for
like,
sure.
that stuff being built in and being able to do that easily seems like that's
for
where
sure.
Eagle can do that.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
a standalone thing, it's a fun toy.
Yeah, it's fun. Well,
Hard
it's
to
great.
turn that into
Yeah, it's great
business.
for visualization, right? But
Yeah.
then taking it to the next step is much harder. But I'll spill the beans on one other thing, which I think is kind of cool.
More beans.
More beans.
I'm unboxing everything about it. But so we've also been working on, like, we added the managed library, which the idea with the managed library is that you've got two coordinate spaces between 3D and 2D. When you want to put a 3D model of an electronic component on top of a 2D footprint from a circuit board, you've got to map those two coordinate spaces together. And I don't know what sketch plane you drew something on in three-dimensional space or what direction you did. So we created the managed library to allow you to do that. But then the next step in the evolution of that will be to actually include the IPC footprint calculator and then also the parametric models.
This isn't model space, paper space, is it?
It does have the model space, paper space problem. But the goal will be to then have the parametric models auto-generated from the same input for the IPC calculator. So if you say, I want to build an SOIC8, and you plug in some parameters and you hit a button, we'll generate both the 2D version of that part and the 3D version of that part, align them to the same coordinate space. And that allows then the electrical engineer to also create mechanical parts very quickly, or people who don't know that a PCB footprint is not the same geometry as what you see in a data sheet.
Yeah.
So it also serves the maker community who's trying to build something which they're trying to put onto a circuit board, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, that was the pin size. Not really the-
That's fun.
You're about
Okay. No, we actually kind of skipped ahead.
yeah.
So, so the Eagle, this I didn't even know, the Eagle Premium Top Tier is available to all students for free for up to 3 years. Are you going to continue this free license?
Absolutely.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know what's tough though. You
That'd be cool if you put that in and said no.
No, and then someone will do a super clip later. So
Yeah.
are you sure you're okay?
No,
saying that?
totally.
Okay, all right.
So that's universal across Autodesk. So that's not Eagle. That's
Okay.
everybody at Autodesk. So if you go and you want the premium license of Fusion, you go to this, I think it's students.autodesk.com or something like that, and you can get access to every piece of Autodesk software for
Yeah,
students.
this is hard to back out of, Matt. Like,
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying,
Okay,
like,
we're holding on.
yeah, like, there's-
This
Believe
actually
me.
is recorded on the internet.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. This is
And
the
that's
one part
forever.
we're exactly.
Well, I
25
remember-
years from
I
now,
mean,
I mean-
we've all in the biz for a while. I remember when MakerBot's like, we're always gonna be open source. I'm like, don't say that because it might not
say it,
happen.
don't say it,
It
don't
might
say it.
not be true. Like one day,
Well,
but
you know,
Autodesk is not going to get
given-
acquired by another Autodesk. So
Right,
you're fine.
right. And given the opportunity, like,
Autodesk
I would
gone.
rather that you use my software for free than
Yeah.
you paid for somebody else's. Like, if you're a student, you should learn to use our software because when you graduate, it serves our interests.
Yeah.
Eventually, you become a commercial
Okay.
customer.
That's how Autodesk
No, I've been using it
Alright.
for 10 years.
does all the pirating.
That's
Yeah,
it.
we
We
did.
got through everything.
Well, no, there's
Wait, there's more?
Well, no,
Oh,
because there's
goodness.
just 2 more in here.
Sorry, I didn't see that there was
I
a
didn't,
This is the paper model problem.
yeah,
that we're talking
I
about.
didn't do
model.
double-sided because I used a printer driver, not a 3D design tool.
I know. Okay, since we last spoke, there's an uproar about ADSKEagle moving to a pure subscription model with the promise of faster development.
I knew this was going to come up.
If only, yeah. How has that? How we can't really do the
Still okay
interview.
to
with
use
that.
your safe word.
Yeah, yeah.
Cobalt.
How has that backlash affected Eagle? And we talked about this, the rapid development schedule. So what are you doing to make this?
Wait, before you answer though,
Wait, what?
because this, we covered this when it went to subscription model, and I think that the community kind of looks at transitions like this and they're like, well, if it's better and it does more, maybe it's okay, because everything is everything. Like I don't have a desktop word processor anymore, because there's this other thing that's better, and I don't care as much, and it's more useful. So that's just me. I'm gonna prime the pump a little bit. That's where I think the community was at, and it's still happening. There's still people that are like, I'm only gonna be on desktop. But then when the features started coming, it's like, okay, now it's kind of interesting.
There are a lot of
All right,
features,
so now I answered the tough question.
Okay, that's question.
No, so I think ultimately there's a couple of really healthy signs. So the first part of that question, which is how has it actually affected Eagle's growth? It's actually been a net positive in terms of growth of Eagle users. So we get enormous numbers of downloads. I won't give you all the specific numbers, but lots of people download Eagle, and it's pretty specialist software, so it's not just software hoarders. And then if you sort of look at the analytics on how many times do people open up the software multiple times, it's universally true that they open it multiple times. I mean, it's like virtually universally true, right? But enough to be sort of like Turing complete. The curious thing is that it's also demonstrated growth in things like emerging markets, where historically a $1,640 license of a premium piece of software was outside of the reach of somebody in an emerging market. So they had one of two choices. They either get a knockoff version, which infects their computer with a bunch of junk on it, or they sink everything they have into it and then maybe never actually see the payout on the back end of that. So I think there's some net positives just on that front, but I think subscription has actually allowed us, and particularly with the monthly subscription model, has allowed us to deliver something where people can sort of dive in, they can use it for a while, they can dive out, and they don't have to pay for it for a while. People don't engineer 365 days a year. Well, most people don't. Most people don't.
Should see my life. My life. So most of my life has just been a backdrop of Eagle. So someone's oddly at the door.
Okay,
so
you get the door. Well,
I'll get
No,
it.
I got it, Mike. No, you guys keep talking.
okay, and is this subscription, because there's recurring revenue, and I know that it is really nice because it lets you know that people are continuing to purchase and they're continuing to get interest. So is that helping to fund the development? I mean, is that partially why? I mean, are you doing a lot of the development to kind of make up for the factor, or is it actually they're tied together by you're able to fund it and get resources?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing. So at this stage, Eagle is about community acquisition much more than it is about immediate revenue, right? So if Eagle was a short-term revenue business, it wouldn't be interesting to Autodesk because we have other products. At the size of a company like Autodesk, we've got other products that truly pay to keep the lights on. So, Eagle wasn't this enormous business in which we came in and, sinister evil overlords were going to go in there and try to monetize it and turn it into this profit center. At some point, that's interesting. But it's more interesting if you sort of look at the future of where we want to evolve technology-wise, that we needed an electronics design play to enable that next set of steps that we wanted to go down. So if we wanted to do true electromechanical design, if we wanted to do things that included embedded software simulation plus circuit simulation plus mechanical simulation and build that sort of end-to-end stack, we needed something like Eagle. We needed an electronics design play. So I think any of this is sort of misplaced if it's sort of cast in the light of sort of immediate short-term revenue opportunities, because it's just not that. Really, it's about how do we bring a community of people who are trying to solve an electronics problem, an embedded software problem, and a mechanical problem into the pool of Autodesk users, and then how do we solve that problem as a way of really transforming the space and moving things forward. So it's really a bet on the future. It's not a short-term play. For Autodesk, it's a bet on the future. And subscription is an easy way to bring the cost down and create a predictable model of revenue that helps us to fund some of the development. But whether or not that funds all of the development of Eagle is kind of irrelevant, because it's actually a long-term play.
Yeah. How many developers do you have, software engineers, do you have working on this?
So I'll be a little reluctant to give a specific number, but I'll say that you guys were right to point out. I think you guys mentioned, because you've met them before, there were 4 guys working on
Yeah.
CADSoft
Yeah.
before, and that team is significantly larger than what it
Okay.
was. But then also, having a bunch of industry experience has helped, because I've been able to go out to various people in the industry and say, hey, you're really good at the routing problem, you should come on board, and you're really good at schematic hierarchy, you should come on board. And so I've been able to kind of go across the industry and bring and draw in these people. And the truth is that the development team, never more in my experience in the past in this industry have I seen a development team that's more sort of focused on the right things and interested in doing the right thing, and is actually motivated by trying to transform this space, not just, hey, yeah, I'm a routing guy, I'm going to come in, I'm going to build another router. That's not interesting.
I'll say this: since the last couple of years, all the CAD tool makers have been more interested in not only coming on and ask an engineer or show and tell or a special interview, because they want to get to know this community. So as we wrap this up and start talking to Mike, if you're interested, do you want to come back at least next year and do another State of the Union?
State of the Eagle.
Absolutely.
Because we had the Altium CMO on. It was neat, and it was a high level view. But no matter what, there's lots of choices, and the way we roll is you get to see the desk of Lady Ada, and she's in EagleCAD, she's doing stuff, and just being able to talk and interact is good. So whoever okayed you to come out, maybe it was just you.
It was just me.
But more of this.
That's cool.
No, more
He's
of
the boss
this.
guy.
No, imagine if all the tool makers got a chance to talk to kind of 3,000 to 10,000 people that are going to dedicate their life.
Yeah.
Like I said, my backdrop in life is looking over. There's pink hair, and then there's EagleCAD. That's all I see, and that sound, donk, 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 donk.
Well, but if you think about the stack, right? So even if I ask my boss is Eric Wilhelm, who founded Instructables. If you think about that hierarchy,
He used to
driving
crash in front of our laser cutter
exactly
at our condemned apartment when Adafruit was 2 people. It's a small world.
Yeah, we truly live and participate in this space, and we
Christian
want to
Archer.
continue to do that.
Isn't it weird? We're taking over. We're now the adults. Oof.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's that time. Now we're in charge.
All right.
It's
Okay.
awful.
So thank you so much, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stick around.
Yeah, we're good. Our show's gonna run to 9:30 at night. Usually, what happens when we have guests. Okay, Mike, you're up. All right, Mike.
What do you want to
Mike.
talk about?
Well, first up,
EagleCAD. We're also going to ask EagleCAD questions.
well, you've been on the show.
Sure.
You've been on the show before, and a lot of people know your name because it's stamped on the back of all of our cases. So
Wait, you're disappearing.
So
Come-
first,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. So first, plug your website when people want to see your work. Where would they go?
It's rossdoel.com. So ROSSDOELL.com.
Okay, and you have some Adafruit things that are on there.
A lot,
I took
actually.
a screenshot.
A lot of
And-
clients don't like me showing stuff off, and so it's nice to be able to put Adafruit stuff on there.
Yeah, I remember when we first started working together, we're like, we want to put design by Mike Dole on it. You're like, are you sure? I'm like,
I
yeah,
thought you were nuts.
yeah. And I guess it's a bit of a calling card. You can say that how many Pi cases do you think we've shipped?
Ooh, tens of
Bajillion.
thousands.
Bajillion. I think
Jillion.
yeah, that's the technical term.
It's good and bad because I get a lot of, hey, you want to help us out with Kickstarter kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
Oh no, we get that one too.
Yeah. But
I have a really successful Kickstarter. I've not done any
really-
electronics. Can you manufacture it? Can you design everything for it? We're like, and we have all these backers. Can you just take care of it?
yeah.
You got that
But-
email too?
Oh, all the time. Well, I forward some of them to you.
Yeah, I
but
forwarded back.
but I also do get good clients from it. I have one from Sweden who I've never met. I've only met online that was from that. And some in the U.S. that, I don't really see that often. And I would have not found otherwise. So
Yeah.
it's been pretty helpful. But some of the crazy things that come in.
Yeah, I mean we
It's
get
the
it. We
internet.
get it all. So besides the Adafruit stuff? What are you usually working on?
So right now I'm working going back a bit, my office burnt down
Yeah.
a few years ago. So in the interim, I was offered a space at University of Toronto as an expert in residence. So I work out of a lab there with Matt Ratto and Ryan Schmidt, and a bunch of other people, and we do a lot of fabricating there. But as far as projects, fair bit of electronics, small electronics, but this year I've worked on 2 different cars. So one, they're both electric.
I was gonna say it's got to be electric cars, right?
Well, they're both interesting, but one is was a retrofit. It was made in 1915, and we put a touch screen in it and changed.
Oh,
but
cool.
it still looks like it's from 1915.
That's cool.
You can't really see the screen. It's
Model
all,
T Tesla.
no, it's a Roush and Lang. I should show you a picture of it. So I've been doing a lot of larger scale automotive stuff and a lot of variety. Not as many. Well, some enclosures actually for what's the other one called? CAN bus. You know,
Okay, yeah.
that was the one from Sweden. A lot of sensors this year.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, an awful lot of sensors.
Okay, so because you're here, I thought we'd take a look at a retrospective of some of the cases you've designed, and we can go to the other head or whatever. But I want to show some of the photos and
Well, the photos are good.
yeah, the photos are these are great. So this is a case designed for a different industry, Joel.
This is a Raspberry Pi B. We also have an A+ version.
Yeah, and so I guess I'll just go to the fun question. Like, what was hard about this? Because this is still working out for us.
What
so
was
it means you
hard
must
about
have,
it?
yeah, because you must have did something. So we didn't have to do multiple revisions. Like, it's still out there. It's still a case that people use a lot. Like, you designed something that
What's
was.
that saying? I would have written you a shorter letter, but it would take too long.
Yeah.
It's just boiling it down. You know, as simple as possible, but still functional.
Yeah, and we have all the cables. Work with it.
Lots of cables. And what really helped was, remember way back when with the MakerBot, you guys gave me the first Adafruit Rep 2.
Yeah.
And then you had one.
Yeah.
So instead of sending stuff FedEx, we just send files. And so
that's
we got
cool.
really fast.
Yeah, that was a neat future of work,
Yeah.
and I know Autodesk experimented with like, because you always imagine like, okay, one day there'll be an Autodesk printer. That's another completely bonkers
We have
business.
one.
Yeah, we had.
The
Yeah, the
Ember.
Ember.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
You know, you can imagine we're just not there yet. Like the 3D printers are still kind of like tough. Like you really have to be into it.
I hate them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's why we have entire teams that are like, okay, Noah and Pedro, you have every printer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's this idea that a long time ago, maybe it was a preview of like, oh, you'll print it and it'll show up at Kinko's.
Yeah.
Or something. Then there was a Kinko's. Shapeways is the closest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then what
Yeah.
we were doing, we were passing files back and forth. So Mike would do a revision, send it to us, and then we'd print it out, and we're like getting close.
But you remember when I was doing CNC before that? I've got a little 4-axis CNC, and I would make something at MDF or REN or something. I'd
Yeah.
ship it, and they'd catch it at the border and say, "Oh, this is electronics." It was just a piece of wood, and they
Yeah.
charge like $400 or whatever for it. And then it would take a week and whatever. It was really
Yeah,
slow.
I heard the NAFTA stuff's gonna change. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Watch the news. I should not watch the news. Okay, so then you did another one, and this was for the Pi
Zero.
Zero. Yeah.
That's cool.
So this is like Return of Mike.
I'll tell you something really nice about these designs is because we simplified them so much. As the Raspberry Pi made new revisions, we didn't have to update the case, which was like such a blessing because other case makers, as like the Pi, B plus became the Pi 2 and things moved a little bit. Like some people had light pipes and of course the LEDs moved and so
Yep.
like the light pipes were now bumping into like
Yeah.
an antenna.
Yeah,
And-
there was crying. I mean, like when
It was just
when you
like-
do injection molding, you make a commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The other thing I think people don't realize about that Pi Zero case, I probably did 150 different prints of it.
yeah,
Right, little bit, and everyone's just slightly different. Just trying to get it exactly right. It's not by accident.
No, it was like the little thing that snaps in.
and then we added to the family. This is
We
the
did these at the same time about.
It was the
Yeah.
same time as a Zero, yeah.
and this is the case for the camera.
Yeah, with a little camera mount on the back.
Yeah, I wanted a camera case that had a camera mount but wasn't enormous.
Mm-hmm.
And we put the little ears on the side so you can use it with a little
That's cool.
tripod. And it wasn't like a huge
No, it's just a little quarter 20 insert. pushed in
But
the
it's a
back.
little one because it doesn't cost very much and they put it in as it's
I
melting.
think we custom made those.
The quarter 20,
The
no.
in-
The nut? No, those are totally off the shelf.
Are they?
Yeah, no. There's
Because we had to find the one that was really shallow that didn't touch the back. of
We
the
did,
board.
but it didn't custom. Like
Yeah.
they have them in every, because this is such a common thing that people
Right.
have to build.
So I guess if someone is like, okay, I've made my like open source, Arduino compatible, CircuitPython compatible, Raspberry Pi killer, or whatever it is, and they wanted to make an enclosure. Open question for both because it kind of came up in the chat. Like, if you're beginner, you're not stuck with anything yet.
So you're asking what do they do? What
Yeah,
software
what would
do they
you
use?
suggest to get started? Oh,
I'd probably just get a copy of Fusion.
yeah.
Like for something like that, it's only a couple parts.
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah.
No, it's
Ah,
seriously.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
my only issue is just the volume of parts that I use. But for this kind of stuff,
So this is
Fusion-
where you'd start.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotcha.
And are
And
there
there's
in
so many
Fusion-
tutorials.
Are there Fusion 360 models of like a Raspberry Pi, for example?
I shouldn't say this out loud, but I often get your parts off GrabCAD.
Okay, sure. I don't know.
Is
if
that-
that-
well, no,
what's-
but
what-
I should also point out they're often wrong, so I have to
Okay.
fix them. But
Yeah,
it saves me a lot of work.
that is totally like
Yeah.
by like EagleCAD file, like EagleCAD libraries.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I look at them, but I don't trust them.
I've been bitten by it a
Yeah.
couple times.
Yeah.
So often I'll download the GrabCAD file and I'll actually 3D print the PCB to make sure it fits.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a
Right.
good tip.
So
That's a
just
good
to
idea.
double check it.
And then you
Yeah.
can use that as a, and then you can compare it, but then
Yeah.
you have something that's modeled.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've been working on something this week, so I guess we'll do the top secret now.
Oh, we're going to show it?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna show it. So
Okay.
Mike's been
Can
working
you
on
give me the piece of
something
papers?
all week. Yeah, if you move the papers off the
Yeah.
overhead. So I'm gonna go to
Okay.
the overhead, but we have this, we have this graphic.
more time.
So it's not out yet. Don't ask everybody.
Ooh,
Okay.
From the Adafruit Vault.
So where do I start?
Well,
So
so-
Monday
yeah.
morning, we started with this guy.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. So I just happened to be here this week with no plan. I had no prior knowledge of this project. And on Monday morning, we talked about making an enclosure for this guy. Actually, this is not the Express, but Circuit Playground. So first thing I thought of was making something that you could access all of the connections. So I made something out of 4 parts that snaps together. And this is one of the problems with CAD is it works fantastically in CAD, but it doesn't in real life because it's impossible to assemble. I can't assemble it.
Oh, when you're
How's it-
when you're
can you show
using
it?
a mouse and like having it lined up perfectly.
Nothing
it's like-
interferes.
yeah.
Everything's fantastic. But then when you try it in real life, it's not happening.
wait, can you show it with the? You can see on the
Oh
screen.
yeah, you
right?
have a screen there so you can see what's going on.
Okay.
there, yeah.
So you
So watch how
This is like
elegant
docking.
this is.
like docking the saucer section on the
Yeah,
Enterprise.
Okay.
Like,
So
you need Jordy LaForge to do this.
I see.
I'm
So
almost
it's-
ready to give up.
Ah,
And then this
Commander
other piece
Data,
is
help.
supposed to clip on.
Yeah.
But the idea was that you'd sandwich the board and it would have, unrestricted access. The problem is it didn't work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's the other fun part that I shouldn't admit, but I'm going to anyway. I messed up. So I lined up the buttons with the GST.
and you've got
So,
them.
so I should point out that this file
Nice.
wasn't on GrabCAD and I had to build it myself and I still messed it up. So anyway, I went to fix that and then I thought, you know what, instead of printing all this and waiting half an hour or whatever for this
Yeah.
print, we'll laser cut it. So I laser cut the profile and then I realized that I was off by 2 degrees on each of the holes.
Yeah, but at least you don't have to 3D print something. Also,
I
it's
know,
a lot
this was-
easier to tell.
This was like 30 seconds or something
Yeah.
to cut. And so we made the other one, and everything's fantastic. It fits. So
Oh, here we go.
here we go.
All right.
Should I take I put this tether on for you because we were talking about
Yeah,
it
you
earlier.
can remove it and then like.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
it's yours. It's your thing. So this
Okay.
is your current design.
So I don't have.
I'm also got a little
Oh,
face.
that looks cool.
Hey.
I've modeled the buttons, and then there's a little toggle switch which I haven't printed yet. But this is essentially it. It's just 2 halves that snap together. Yay,
That's fun.
MakerBot. This actually worked out really well. So it just fits in like this.
Oh, that's cool.
And this guy snaps over top like that,
And it lines it up.
and it lines up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you
What's
have
it-
your buttons, your reset, and your
What's interesting
toggle.
is that you actually got it to snap together on a Rep 2. We have a Rep
Yeah.
2 here. We printed
Yeah.
and actually snaps. It fits in.
Which is a workhorse.
Wow.
It just works.
When you're the only one that uses it, and you set it, they work beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one I have, I've printed like 2,000 hours on it, and it
Wow.
works perfectly.
It's optimized for you. You're like this.
Yeah, I set it up. No one else uses
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
You want to show the alligator
Yeah,
clips?
show
That was
the-
the cool hack that
Show
you
the,
did.
Oh,
show the clips
and then-
that they play in.
How do I show this?
It looks like, as someone said in the chat, it looks like a little skull, which I like
So
skulls. generally speaking.
Just add these alligator clips and this lovely little necklace.
Nice.
Can you rotate it around so you can see that it's skull-like quality? Oh no, the on X, not Y. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, look at that.
Okay,
Look,
there
it's
we
a cute
go.
little skull.
Hi.
This
got
is
a
Halloween
face.
next year.
Everything looks like the Hackaday logo to me because that's the Hackaday logo. I'm like, oh, cool. Like this is gonna be a Hackaday thing, I guess.
Well, I think though we'll be making this transparent as well because we've got
That's
the
cool.
LEDs and the light sensor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But then now we have to pay attention to the buttons. The buttons are really small, so I've had to connect them so we don't lose them.
Yeah.
But I have to actually pay attention to the routing of the spring because you can see them. So I can't hide anything with the transparent case.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Very,
that's
very
not
cool.
out yet. It's don't ask.
Top
Okay.
secret.
Top secret.
Back in the vault
Yeah.
with you.
Skull.
Okay, Mike. Anything else you're working on before we go on to some other stuff?
Here, I don't know what we're just in
Let's
general.
see.
Whatever.
What are we? Can we? Is there anything that Mike's working on that we can talk about?
That's it. That's the current project.
Yeah, I think we have a microbit thing we're working on.
We are, but it's still in a lot of progress.
Yeah.
We're thinking of a microbit case, but we're,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're still, we like this, the circuit playground, I think we're kind of settled.
Yeah.
The microbit, we're still.
We have like an accessory line that we're
thinking.
doing with microbit. So
Yeah. No, most of the other stuff is just sensors, and then
Yeah.
everyone seems to really want to do the feather form factor. So I'm doing a lot of feather-like things.
yeah, we've been talking to companies and they're settling on the feather form factor.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat. We'll hear about like Maxim has a feather wing that we're like
Yeah.
cool. And one of the reasons is with Arduino, you know, that form factor was established for a while, but it's just big and if you use it the shield form, it's fine, but like smaller, lighter,
Yep.
cheaper. And when you jump into the feather ecosystem, you get like 52 things
Yep.
out of the box. So folks who make microcontroller platforms are like, well, I don't want to make 52 accessories.
Yep. Yep.
And one of the things that's been helpful for us is because we put our files up,
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, I'll just grab the board file and I'll just start designing around that. So we see a lot of unique feather wings that we wouldn't have thought of.
So we're gonna get the feather design block in Eagle, so
Yeah, sure.
somebody can place it. And
Okay.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
add it
it's,
to a design.
it's, yeah, I basically tell
Yeah.
people to grab the prototyping wing, and I just say, delete everything you don't want,
Yeah.
and then go to town.
Oh, someone did said that design, because most things look like skulls or Stargate stuff to me. It looks like the Wraith home base.
Nice.
Okay. That's where my wraiths,
Yeah.
wraiths
Okay.
live.
Well, thank you so much, Mike.
All right, thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Okay, well,
Mike, for
we're gonna cut to a video and then we're going to do a couple odds and ends, and that's pretty
That's
much
our
our
show,
show.
yeah.
So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Matt, we'll book you on the show for next
Next
State
year?
of the Union. I really hope that the tool makers do more stuff like this, and I wish there was
Totally
more live
agree.
internet electronic shows.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Because we have the longest running live electronic show, which is kind of fun to say, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, okay, like we like watching electronic shows too, and we're seeing makers make stuff, but it's hard to have like the interview format
Right.
and
Right.
guests and things like it's if you ever get bored and you're done with CAD stuff, video production tools
Video production tools would be my next thing on
is
the list.
yeah, it's like that's one of the
Yeah,
ones.
there's a lot that can be
That's
done.
one of the ones where I think no one has taken the same approach. Like, here, let me help you.
Right.
You know, my setup over there, I have like 15 different keyboards because like nothing's helping me.
Yep.
And I memorize stuff to get it to work.
Yep.
And then I get weird devices, and it starts looking like Minority Report.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at my like contraption here, and I think that's one of the uncharted territories for really good design. That's like it's helping.
Yeah.
Instead of like, ouch, that hurt. Okay.
Okay.
So we had a project that came in. Sophie just released this guide. This is the Selfie Bot.
Yay!
And this is one of our favorite projects. I guess this is another, like, everyone knows what a selfie is, and so we forgot some of the reasons for it. So this little bot helps. So we have this video that I'm going to show. It's a short video. And then we'll do some questions, and then we'll give away some stuff. So there we go.
Engineer, you
and
got 3 engineers.
give away stuff.
You've got electrical engineer, software engineer, and mechanical engineer.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
hit Discord.
Voltron.
That's right.
Okay. Let me go through some of these real quick. Matt, are you allowed to talk about the next release version? Like when people can expect? Mm-hmm. It's a subscription service, so it kind of just
That's a
happens.
subscription service, so it just happened. So we just did 8.5.
Okay.
We'll do, typically right after that, we'll do a sort of get well release. Just,
Yeah.
Whatever we broke, we'll fix it. And then my hope would be probably keeping up with a similar cadence. So mid-January, mid-February, mid-March, kind of just
Gotcha, so-
relentless.
It is relentless, yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing Circuit Python right now, and we're pretty aggressive about the release. It's just like we did 1.0 and then we're 2.0, and we're like, okay, release canon. Let's
Now
get
we
to
have
3.
actually we have a live release system where every day we do a bundle release. If there's any commits that have been pushed to master,
Yep.
that's another release.
Yeah, so we just run different swim lanes where some people will work on things that are on some swim lane which is out 3 months away, and then that'll land 3 months from now, and then we'll just sort of keep them all sequenced.
Okay, if you can compare, so releasing desktop software, which you've done in your life, on multiple operating systems, versus subscription cloudy-based ones that still have to work on multiple operating systems, what are the things that desktop does really good, desktop doesn't, cloud subscription really good?
Yeah, well,
Challenge.
so a lot of it has to do with just the way that cloud architecture works. Like, if it was true cloud software, like 100% cloud software, then I can go in and change a very small part of the code and just deploy an
It's a
update to
browser
that.
window, and
yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
like pushing in.
Facebook. I was just reading an article. Facebook deploys 72 times per day. Every time that something gets pulled into master, it gets pushed out to the website, and so. Cloud-based stuff, you can do that really fast kind of iterative deployment because you try to put things into much smaller units. When it's desktop monolithic software, it's a lot harder because you've got 2 approaches. One is to build a patching system that patches binaries, or the other is to deploy a whole version. But what we've done is basically say, okay, Eagle's only 100 mega download, so we'll just release a whole version. Like, we don't even care. We're going to treat desktop software like it's cloud-based software and just release.
Okay, couple other, do you want some feature requests?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, vector and bitmap support. That's
That's coming.
That's
Man,
coming.
I would love
coming, that's
vector
coming.
imports. That would be
Yeah.
so sweet.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
coming. I think
tutorials
at some
on how
point
to,
we'll
like,
get
put on
into.
stuff on it.
At some point, we're Autodesk, right?
I just
So we
want
know
it to
how
be
to.
Illustrator. I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah, for sure. We'll just add PCB routing to Illustrator, and everything will be solved.
No, actually, somebody once it came on the show and tell them they actually did their PCB routing.
Oh,
as
that's
their-
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're like, that's what I got.
But yeah, so SVG rendering for sure. I mean, breaking stuff down into glyphs. We got to
It'll
do
be
that for
amazing
TrueType fonts
being able
anyway.
to resize some things.
Yeah.
I actually have in my Silks Eagle library, I have like 10 versions of some logos because it's like,
Yep.
I need a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger.
Okay,
Sweet.
how do you decide on the board size limit? Because that's a bit of a carryover from
Yeah,
Eagle days. Eagle
yeah, it's
desktop
kind
days.
of it's kind of arbitrary at this point because the even the standard edition is like 4 inches by 6 inches. Like, there's almost nothing you can't fit in that other than like a graphics card or like
Gotcha.
something more significant. It's kind of arbitrary, but it's intended to try to create some incentive to move to a paid version of the software. I mean, I won't try to be coy about it or anything, but. What we did do was change it so the geometry works as a function of total area. So you could do like long neopixel strips without.
Oh, yeah, there isn't that like, you drag
Yeah.
it to like 0.100 minus, and it's
Right.
just like, blah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, we can't do that anymore. Yeah, and in the future we'll sort of revisit the whole component placement process in PCB
Yeah.
and how the PCB is handled, and in that case, then we probably won't have much in the way of any of those types of errors.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as PCB creation, there's lots of different tools that do it, like fritzing. I think
Yep.
123 circuit. Like, what is some of the plans for like a PCB pops out for some of the other tools that you manage?
Well, definitely. So 123D circuits or what's circuits now on Tinkercad. We're working on the synchronization between those two things. So you would be able to model something on a breadboard and even go from the extent of, I want to model it on the breadboard, but then I want to build a PCB netlist from it. Because those two things could actually, you could completely bypass the schematic if we allowed you to do that. And so we're in the process of working on those pieces, which will actually tie all of that together. Because ultimately, I would love it if an 8-year-old using Tinkercad could pull together some interesting little units and then say, make me a board. And a board came back with components on it. Or maybe a board came back with sockets on it that they could put the components in.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, you had some feather stuff you were talking about. Do you know when it's going to be out?
There's one set we're prototyping right now. I think we're just doing a rollout of something like 50 of them.
Can you send us one?
I brought a 3D printed one here.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, there's no
we just have
ETA.
to-
I mean, like anything
Okay.
that's injection molded is months.
No, that's what this
Yeah.
is going to be injection molded.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
it's months. There's no E ETA.
Next up, if someone wants to make suggestions for Fusion 360, how do they get a hold of y'all?
So just, I think it's support.fusion@autodesk.com.
Support.fusion.
Or just support.eagle@autodesk.com if you
Okay.
want suggestions. The best place that you can go is just join the forums.
Join the
because
forums.
we are absolutely 100% active on the forums. All
You
my
know his
developers
Twitter
are on it.
account. You just tweet
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, just tweet it to me.
we have folks that are in the assistive technology community, and they themselves need more accessibility features.
Yep.
And the best way to do that is probably let the team know. And you're probably like us, we don't do phone support. Like if you
Yep.
put something in the forums, like it's searchable, the
Yep.
internet sees it.
Yeah.
So is that the best place for
Yeah,
us?
for sure. I mean,
Okay.
we want to create that persistent record somewhere. So
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff with AT makers, or at least spotlighting things they're doing. And I think that might be an interesting thing down the road for the libraries, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you want to do a thing. This is always the thing that you're going to use for this switcher or
Yep.
this. I think that'd be really useful. It's not. We never set out to like, let's make stuff for the assistive technology community. We just make good stuff.
Yeah.
So now people use our again Feather Knight. They
Yeah.
use a Wing format for like, oh, this is going to be a relay thing, and like it controls this. Okay. I think that is all from now. Okay, Lady, do you want to do giveaway?
Yeah, it's gonna give away.
awesome.
Okay, what do you want to give away?
I'm gonna give away Matt. No, just kidding. Don't you want to just take him home with you?
That's in high demand.
Yeah.
You were at an event yesterday. You got on a plane to here.
Yep. Flew
And
in
you're
this
like-
morning.
yeah,
Yeah.
like-
Got in. What? 30 minutes before we started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you did good.
Yeah.
That's it.
what do you want to give away?
We're going to give away a Circuit Playground Educators Pack,
Wow,
which
that's-
is on sale, but
that's
you're going to
a
get
really
one for free. It's like $100 of Circuit Playground Express and goodies and parts, and it comes in an awesome tin lunchbox, so you can give it as a gift or just make something cool with it. That's going to be the giveaway. Super special giveaway because it's super
Okay,
special.
what are the rules?
Giveaway. You can't win this prize if you've won before. Only one winner per my lifetime. The first person to call the phone number and ring this payphone behind us, and I pick it up and I say hello, and you answer. You don't hang up on me, and then I don't know why. And I ask you your name, where you're calling from, and a project you're working on or you want to work on. You'll win it. That's all you got to do.
So you gotta know?
That's it.
Okay.
Call this number.
All right. The phone lines are going to be open.
Ohm bit stab.
Yeah. Let's see who
The
calls
B is a little tough to see, but ohm bit stab. If you're a viewer, you probably have that. And remember, you can't win twice. You only one winner. Actually, we've been really good. People have only called once.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
It's gonna be loud.
I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, see? Shocking. I always wait for the second
It's on
ring.
right now.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, it is. Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
Hello, you've reached Ask an Engineer.
Oh, hello.
Hello, you're the winner. Congratulations. Yay! What's your
Yay.
name and where are you calling from?
I'm Carson. I'm calling from Oakville, Ontario.
Ooh, Ontario.
Canada.
From Canada, just like
What is
you.
it?
And
Maybe I know him.
I'm
Is it Bill?
hoping to work on
Something.
Oh,
a hand for a hand controller for virtual reality.
Oh, hand
Ooh,
control
that's
for
cool.
virtual reality.
Virtual reality control. So what was your first name again? I just completely forgot because I was bragging about it.
Carson.
Carson. Right, Carson from
you know
Canada.
Carson?
You
Yeah, I
know
know
Carson
Carson.
from Canada,
My
right?
name is Carson.
Carson.
Canada's a small. I know
There's a
Carson.
Bill. There's
So
a
wait,
Carson.
is this hand controller mechanical or is it electrical?
It's like flex sensors
Ooh,
and
flex
then
sensors, okay.
like a tracker on top to sense where the hand is.
Oh, neat. Okay, well, that sounds like a really cool project. Well, we're going to send you a whole pack of good stuff. All you have to do is email support@adafruit.com and say, hey, it's Carson from Ontario, and I want a product number 2769, and we'll send it to you.
Okay.
Maybe you can use some of this stuff in your hand project. It'll be pretty sweet. And come by show and tell and show it off when you're done.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Carson. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well,
Awesome.
that's our show for tonight. The code is the Twitter account for Autodesk Eagle. ADSKEagle, 10% off in Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59. And don't forget, we got the sale thing going on. We got all the freebie stuff. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Nope, you're good.
All guests have to start with the letter M. That was our rule tonight. And
Good work.
we're here next week, every single week. And you're invited back. You're invited back.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
Always.
just keep.
This is Engineer Club Mad, as Mike
Yeah.
said.
Just
Yes.
keep doing this.
Engineer
You
Club.
can actually just like build. You can come by whenever you want. Just build stuff and have fun.
I'm happy to. Can I?
Yeah. We got 3D printers and
Love
laser
to coordinate a
cutting.
schedule. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang out.
Yeah.
It's a little tent.
Okay. And for the folks who want to keep chatting, go to Discord, adafruit.it/Discord, and
Chat all your way. 24-hour hacker space.
Yeah.
You can bring your granddaughter to,
that is
or just yourself.
that is the phrase. Yeah. So okay, we're going to leave now. I'll play out a video with Noah and Pedro, but first here's a picture of Mosfet the cat. See, we used to be in an apartment. We destroy the cat.
Excellent.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. No, it's. and
No,
then
he
we-
just doesn't hear it because he would just get lost.
Yeah, well, here's an Adafruit story. So we had one apartment, and then because we were an apartment company, and we're like, oh no, we ran out of storage. We didn't have a place to sleep because we were just boxed everywhere. So we got another apartment, and so the cat and storage and Lady Ada and I lived there.
Yeah.
And so I'd have to go and capture the cat before the show, and then walk from one apartment to the other with the cat. So I became an animal handler.
What's cool is eventually we would put that carrier down, and he would just walk right in.
like,
Because he's like,
okay.
oh, I know what's going to happen.
It's
Like, this
cat
isn't
time.
scary.
Yeah. So now
We would just
we're in a
turn and
factory,
sit down, and I would zip it
It's
up.
going to the other apartment. now.
Yeah,
So
he's
that's-
just,
so that's
it's
Mosfet
cool.
the
It's a little
Yeah.
catcation.
All right, so we'll have a video with Noah and Pedro, and we'll play out. So here's your moment of zero. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
In this project, we're creating a voice kit with your Raspberry Pi. I chat and help people.
The Google AIY Voice Kit for the Raspberry Pi is a great way to bring do-it-yourself AI to your maker projects. The kit has everything you need to create your own smart home assistant. There's no soldering required, and the kit includes step-by-step instructions so it's easy to put together. To give this project more personality, we designed our enclosure to look like AdaBot. We 3D printed the case in wood filament to give our project more texture. This PLA-based material is mixed with actual wood fibers and easily prints without any special settings. A deburring tool is great for removing brims from the bottom of 3D printed parts. This leaves you with a clean edge, making it smooth to the touch. We used a variety of sandpaper to smooth out the surface. Different grits of sandpaper gives you different degrees of smoothness. This is a laborious process that takes both time and patience. Wood stain can help give color to your models and helps the surface appear more like actual wood. To give this part more of a wood grain-like texture, we applied light strokes across the surface. After applying the first coat, a light bit of sanding can help knock down the contrast so the tones appear more even. Repeating this process several times gives the surface an aged look while smoothing out any rough areas. Using different colored stains can help add shadows and highlights, which brings more interest to the surface detail. We made sure to print several copies so we could test different colors and sanding techniques. Be sure to wear proper safety gear to avoid dust, fumes, and other potentially harmful chemicals. The Raspberry Pi is installed to the bottom cover and secured with machine screws. The voice hat is designed to fit on top of the Pi. Standoffs prevent the header pins from bending while installing it in place. Just firmly press the headers to fully seat the voice hat on top of the Pi's header. To connect the speaker, the pre-tinned wires can be inserted and secured to the screw terminal block. The speaker is mounted inside the case using another set of machine screws. These standoffs were designed to allow the screws to be fastened at an angle. The bottom cover is designed to snap fit and lock onto the enclosure. The PCB with the microphone is installed to the top cover so the audio can be easily detected. The arcade button is fastened to the top of the mounting hole, making it easily accessible. All of the connections plug into the respective connectors, making this really easy to put together. It's a good idea to adjust the wires so they're neatly fitted inside the case before closing it up. The top cover is installed just like the bottom cover. The ears are separate pieces that snap fit onto the side of the enclosure with these little pegs. The micro SD card is installed through the cutout on the side of the case. To set up the software, you'll need to burn the ready-to-go disk image and follow the included guide. It features several demos and code examples, so it's easy to modify scripts for making custom triggers and actions.
I feel much better inside here than a cardboard box. So if you want to build your own, be sure to check out the guide on the Adafruit learning system. Don't forget to subscribe for more DIY projects from Adafruit. If you want a freestyle, my friend has you covered.
Alicia,
Hey.
what are you doing?
We're hanging out with our robot friend. This is the Sharp packaging system by Pregus.
Designed and built in USA.
Yeah, this is pretty intense. This is the SX. So you can tell because it's got this really cool effect here. And this is an auto bagger. And as you can see, what it does is it will print onto a bag a barcode and also heat seal it. So for example, we got these feathers, and what's nice is that there's a little fan. It opens the bag for you.
Yep.
You toss that in, and then there's this little capacitive touch, and then it comes out.
That's nice.
And it prints the barcode on it with the batch number and the date and all that good stuff.
Okay.
And it comes with a hang tab too. So this is for some people who wanted to, customers that are retail establishments, they want to hang our stuff up.
Okay.
It costs nothing to have this little, as we call it, sombrero attached. And Alicia over here is walking out. Hey. Oh yeah. She's going to help us add a foot switch. Very excited.
Okay. So do another one. With my friend. That's fast.
Yeah, it's fast. And then we're going to have a bag catcher at the bottom, so like I don't have to reach under. It'll just pop them into bags.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Hey.